Diddy and Jay-Z are monsters.
Today, we're really getting into the weeds on the Sean Diddy Combs trial. It's dominated by some extremely serious charges.
Absolutely. We're talking sex trafficking, racketeering conspiracy, just very, very heavy stuff.
Yeah, and related offenses, too. Our main source for this deep dive is going to be transcripts from Trap Talk. On YouTube, they do detailed breakdowns of court proceedings.
Right, they're quite thorough, and we'll mix that with other news reports as well.
Exactly. The goal here is really to sift through everything and pull out the most significant and, frankly, quite shocking details.
To give you a clear picture of the allegations and what they could mean.
Okay, so let's start unpacking it. The charges themselves.
Well, the gravity is immediate. Sex trafficking, racketeering conspiracy, these aren't minor things.
No.
And then add transportation for prostitution. If he's convicted, we're looking at a potential life sentence.
A life sentence. That just sets the stage, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. It shows how serious the prosecution is taking this.
And right at the center of it all is Cassie Ventura's testimony, his ex-girlfriend, the R&B singer.
Her testimony started May 16th, 2025. And it's been, well, powerful.
Describing an 11-year relationship marked by what she calls significant control and coercion.
Yeah, ABC News and others reported on that, and she read explicit messages in court.
Those messages painted a stark picture of that dynamic, didn't they?
They really did. But then there's the video.
Right, the 2016 hotel surveillance video from LA.
Yeah.
That feels like a major piece here.
Oh, absolutely pivotal. The judge allowing it as evidence was a huge deal.
What does it reportedly show?
Reports are clear. It shows Diddy physically assaulting Cassie. We're talking beating, kicking, even dragging her.
Dragging her, wow.
Yeah. And like the commentary on Trap Talk suggests, this isn't just he said, she said anymore. It's potential visual proof.
A potential smoking gun, as they say.
Exactly. Legal analysts are really focused on its impact.
And we should also remember the run-up to this. Back in November 2023, she filed that civil lawsuit.
Alleging rape, repeated physical abuse.
But here's the thing that got everyone talking. It settled the same day it was filed.
Which was incredibly fast. Almost unheard of for something like this.
Diddy didn't admit wrongdoing, but settling that quickly, it makes you wonder.
It certainly does. You could speculate it was maybe an attempt to, keep things quiet.
Contain the fallout.
Potentially. Prevent the kind of criminal investigation that's happening now anyway. A civil settlement doesn't stop criminal charges, obviously.
Clearly not. Okay, so beyond Cassie's own account, the prosecution brought in others to corroborate.
Yes, starting with LAPD officer Israel Flores. He testified May 12th, 2025.
And his testimony lines up with that video, right, from 2016?
Directly. He talked about responding to a distress call that year, described Diddy having a devilish stare.
A devilish stare, oof. And didn't he allege Diddy tried to bribe him?
Yes, allegedly offered him cash. That's a significant detail.
Suggests more than just the assault itself, maybe trying to cover it up.
Exactly, potential obstruction of justice. Plus, Flores said he saw Cassie with a purple eye.
Which again, lines up with an assault.
Provides independent corroboration, aligning with the video evidence.
And then there was Daniel Phillip. His testimony was also May 12th.
Yes, identified as a male review manager. His account, reported by CNN and others, adds another disturbing layer.
What did he claim?
He stated he was paid anywhere from $700 to $6,000 per encounter for intimate acts with Cassie.
Paid. By whom?
Allegedly at Diddy's direction.
Okay, that immediately raises huge questions about consent and coercion.
Serious questions. It points directly towards potential trafficking allegations if these acts were directed and paid for like that.
Phillip also said he witnessed assaults.
He did. Claimed he saw Diddy drag Cassie by her hair at one point.
Just horrific.
And he added another detail that Diddy photographed his driver's license.
Why would he do that?
Phillip perceived it as a threat. Like, I know who you are, creating fear, maybe?
That sounds like intimidation.
Yeah.
Control.
Absolutely. It fits a potential pattern. The YouTube commentary even used the phrase, hostage situation with luxury hotel rooms.
Strong words, but it captures that alleged lack of freedom.
It highlights the potential fear and lack of autonomy.
Then we get into these freak-offs. The term itself is jarring.
And the descriptions from Cassie's testimony are incredibly disturbing.
What does she describe?
These alleged marathon encounters in hotel rooms, lasting 36 to 72 hours.
72 hours.
And one instance allegedly went for 4 days.
4 days.
Yeah.
It's hard to even process, with heavy substance use involved.
It's reportedly rampant, which, severely impacts anyone's ability to consent freely.
Of course. It creates an environment ripe for exploitation.
Precisely. And the acts described, Cassie testified about being subjected to bodily fluids by a male worker.
At Diddy's direction.
At Diddy's direction.
Uh-huh.
She said she felt choked, disgusted.
Oh my God.
And she alleged Diddy himself sometimes did similar things, making her feel completely humiliated.
It sounds like deliberate degradation, dehumanization.
That's what it points towards. Intentional infliction of emotional distress, extreme power imbalance. It just shreds any idea of consent.
And she recounted her first freak-off.
Yeah, where Diddy allegedly instructed 2 other people to engage in these acts simultaneously.
And her plea to him. She testified, she pleaded, "I just want to be with you."
Wow. That just speaks volumes, doesn't it? About the alleged coercion.
It really does. It suggests she felt forced to endure it despite her own feelings. Highlights the alleged manipulation.
And the level of control he allegedly had over these events.
Total control, according to her testimony, dictating outfits, room temperature, the specific activities.
She said every freak-off was directed by Shah.
That sums it up. And add to that the claims he provided drugs, like MDMA,
to keep people awake and compliant.
for these incredibly long periods, further eroding any possibility of real consent. It's a strategy, allegedly, to control through chemical means.
And the drug allegations go beyond just those events, right? There was the Lil Rod lawsuit.
Lil Rod Jones Jr. suit, yes. Claimed Diddy's chief of staff made employees carry fanny packs.
Fanny packs filled with a whole list of drugs. Cocaine, GHB, ecstasy, MDMA, weed gummies, and something called TUI, or pink cocaine.
Pink cocaine. Sounds potent. So drugs were just part of the environment.
That's the picture painted, not just available, but allegedly distributed by staff. Normalized, almost institutionalized.
And then there's Jonathan Audi. His 2018 interrogation was bizarre, but
But amidst the strangeness, he mentioned liquid cocaine.
allegedly used by Diddy, and Audi claimed he saw it during encounters with Diddy and Cassie.
Yes. Again, Audi's whole story is complex, needs caution. But that specific detail about a specific drug surfacing years earlier, it's an unsettling echo.
It is strange how these details align sometimes. And there was also testimony about an alleged overdose.
Yes, court testimony revealed Diddy allegedly overdosed around the time Whitney Houston died, February 2012.
And this was kept quiet.
Completely quiet, reportedly, for over a decade, which speaks to the kind of influence and control over information surrounding him.
A whole infrastructure to protect the image.
It suggests that yes.
Okay, let's pivot to the allegations of physical violence, which are just brutal.
Extremely. Cassie's 2023 lawsuit detailed a long pattern: punching, beating, kicking, stomping.
And the prosecution described a specific incident from 2009.
A horrifying one, allegedly stomping repeatedly on Cassie's face while she was on the floor of an SUV.
Stomping on her face. That level of violence is sickening.
It's extreme brutality, a shocking disregard for another person.
And then we have the 2016 hotel video as visual evidence of an assault.
Corroborated by Officer Flores seeing her purple eye, and Diddy allegedly trying to stop her leaving.
And Daniel Phillips' account.
Witnessing Diddy drag her by the hair, hearing slapping and yelling, it adds more weight.
Multiple layers of corroboration for the physical abuse claim.
Exactly. Visual evidence, law enforcement testimony, eyewitness accounts.
And the prosecution isn't saying the violence stopped years ago. They mentioned a Jane Doe.
Yes, an alleged incident less than a year ago. Choked, lifted, kicked, punched, dragged.
And forced intimate acts after being injured.
That's the allegation. Plus, another claim about Diddy entering the home of a man Cassie was seeing, armed.
And then beating Cassie afterwards.
That's what the prosecution alleged. It suggests a potentially ongoing pattern.
Really raises concerns about others who might have been involved with him more recently.
Serious concerns, yes.
So with all this coming out, what's the defense doing? What's their strategy?
Well, from court reports, it seems they're leaning heavily on consent.
Arguing these encounters, however unusual, were consensual between adults.
Basically, yes. That it wasn't coercion or trafficking.
But that seems like a really difficult argument to make, given the testimony about violence, control, drugs.
It's a standard defense tactic in these types of cases, but yes, it faces huge challenges when there's corroborating evidence suggesting the opposite, suggesting consent wasn't possible.
The prosecution will hammer that point, presumably.
Absolutely. Arguing the power dynamics, the alleged coercion, negated any real consent.
The defense also tried to undermine Cassie's credibility.
Yes, during cross-examination. Pointing to her alleged substance use issues, trying to find inconsistencies in her story, like about the Suge Knight incident.
Another standard tactic, trying to discredit the accuser.
It is. But juries can react negatively to that, especially with other evidence backing her up. Its effectiveness remains to be seen.
Let's go back to Jonathan Audi again for a second. That 2018 arrest, the sex slave claims, initially sounded maybe unstable.
Very unusual circumstances surrounding that interrogation.
But looking back now, some specifics he mentioned seem strangely relevant.
Particularly him mentioning Diddy directing intimate encounters and the drug use, things we're hearing now from other sources.
It's an odd convergence, isn't it? Even if his overall narrative was questioned?
It lends a strange, unexpected layer of potential corroboration, making you reevaluate parts of his earlier statements.
He also named Diddy's lawyers at the time, Geragos and Maceos.
Details that have checked out. And he claimed that massive settlement, $5.125 million.
Which hasn't been confirmed, the amount.
No, but his ex-wife reportedly confirmed there was an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement.
And NDAs often come with settlements, especially large ones meant to ensure silence.
Exactly. It raises questions about what Diddy might have wanted to keep quiet back then. The ex-wife confirming the NDA adds some credibility there.
And the timing. Audi's incident in 2018, that was around the time Cassie alleges she was raped while trying to leave Diddy.
The temporal proximity is interesting. You can't draw direct lines definitively, but it adds to the complex picture of that period.
Highlights a potentially chaotic and dangerous environment.
It certainly hints at a complex web of events and individuals around Diddy at that time.
And now Jay-Z's name has been brought into this.
In a refiled lawsuit, yes. Accusing Jay-Z of participating in an assault with Diddy way back in 2000.
Okay, those are unproven allegations from a long time ago.
Absolutely. Needs to be stressed unproven. But it shows how this case could potentially widen, draw in other major figures.
Which must put other celebrities who are in Diddy's circle in a really tough spot.
A very precarious position. We saw Will Smith deny any wrongdoing related to Diddy's parties. Others have been silent.
It's a dilemma, right? How do you acknowledge a past association without looking like you condone the alleged crime?
It's incredibly difficult. It highlights the complex web of relationships in the industry. Silence might just be seen as the safest bet for some, professionally speaking.
And looking back at Diddy's image, those parties he threw, framed as diverse, barrier breaking.
In hindsight, you have to wonder if that public image was cultivated perhaps strategically.
Like a cover. A way to seem inclusive while alleged predatory behavior was happening.
It's a deeply unsettling thought, using a progressive image as a potential shield. It shows how public personas can mask very different realities.
So as this trial goes on, it's just layer upon layer of shocking claims, corroborating stories, bizarre side notes.
And the contrast between the public Diddy, the brand, and the picture emerging in court is just undeniable.
Stark.
Decades of a carefully built image potentially crumbling under the weight of these testimonies. It really challenges that curated image and raises huge questions about accountability, power, and abuse in the entertainment world.
So maybe the final thought for you, the listener, is to think about those power structures.
Yeah, what systems, what dynamics within that industry, or even more broadly, could allow alleged behavior like this to go on for so long?
And what does this trial, whatever the outcome, mean for accountability moving forward?
It really forces a look at the systemic issues. What needs to change to create more transparency and safety in these incredibly influential spaces?